So let's try and remember. What was this text about again? Do we need conceptual approaches of technological progress and work? Some reflections. Oh, right. We've been talking about those studies that we're looking at about different jobs and work tasks that can be automated away. And general vague discussion, not really a discussion, just pointing out that there is a discussion to be had about automation, technology, and the structure of society. I really like that thing where they talked about technology as a framing. You can look at society and technology as a frame around society, because we have technology everywhere. So when talking about society, talking about technology can oftentimes be a very good idea. That I really liked. So maybe that's where they're coming with this conceptual approaches to technological progress and work. Let's see. Innovation processes in the field of digital technologies play a crucial role in analyzing the dynamics of automation in new fields of work such as industry, the service sector, or agriculture. Right. Indeed, the widespread introduction of robotics in the manufacturing industry in recent decades has been quantitatively remarkable in many countries. Indeed. In the entire globe, right? However, these developments have not been scientifically analyzed as to the transformation of work. Based on the debate of digital technologies in different fields of work, today most production models that envisage higher productivity levels belong in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning applied to manufacturing tasks. I'm very interested to how they think it can be studied, because that I don't know, and what those studies, like hypotheses for these studies. Right. But there are also social aspects of automation that are not yet solved. Solved, that's an interesting word to use in this context. Some of those aspects are related to ergonomic design, but most of them deal with responsibility, situation awareness, risk assessment, and the quality of working life. In safer cooperative working conditions, there are relevant topics that we call social implications of robotics. Right. Nevertheless, the strong interrelation between technologies and organizational change can only be partially reconstructed. The impact of these innovations on the structure of work as well as on employment is still not well known. It kind of feels well known, right? It is not studied scientifically, but we can infer like a lot of stuff. How is the machine used? And then we can look like, what did people use before and what does people use now? But that's not really the social implication. That's more looking at the specific work tasks, how they change. Are there social implications of changing the actual tasks of a job? Structure of work. I don't know. Right. In addition to the issues mentioned above, labor saving, increased effectivity, process control, qualification, technical components and technical systems in the work structure are more and more considered as components that bring about quantitative and qualitative changes in complex automation processes. It's vague, right? What are we talking about here? Like social implications of robotics. It's very vague. Yeah, these changes will happen. What is the purpose of this text? What are they going for? That's a very good question. I have no idea what this text is actually going for. Whereas organizational changes and changes in value chains are widely analyzed by empirical studies, the variety of consequences of automation still seems to be largely unknown. We're talking about organizational changes. Yeah, how they change based on technology. So that's not about the tools of the trade. It's more like computerization of HR. Oh, I remember. What was that? It was a movie. So what they were working with, just flying around and firing people. And then they replaced that job, right? It was an outside firm. Like that's where the job they had, they just went from company to company just firing people. They had specialists in firing people because people didn't enjoy firing people because of the dependency of having a job and your life getting all destabilized by getting fired, which is a symptom of a terrible structure of society. But anyway, right, and they replaced the people that were firing other people with robots to fire people. Videos, right? Videos to fire people. And that type of change through technology, what are the effects of that on society, on people, on this and that? Is that type of question we're looking for, maybe? In the last years, the impact on the societal level has become an important topic of public and political discourses regarding the dynamics of automation and its effect on the unemployment structure. Of course, and we've been talking about UBI and stuff like that a lot, right? What should we do when, if and when people gets, right, where we have more people than we have jobs, which is something I am hoping for. However, this impact has hardly been analyzed and assessed. I mean, it kind of has. This seems especially true in relation to the limits to growth. Meadows, Randers, and Barons in 72, and sustainable work models. Alright, currently... This is the worst reference ever. This is a terrible reference. This text is not, like, perfectly written. This kind of... If I want to understand what they mean in this text, I have to read this whole article. And I'm not going to read that whole article. I need to look it up. They do that a lot in this text. It's like a reference without actually mentioning what it is. What are you saying? What do you mean by limits of growth? I have no idea. Right. Currently, the occurrence of different technological innovation is transforming almost every field of work with regard to different issues, especially automation. Even in the social fields of work that were traditionally considered non-technical, that is, healthcare or education work routines can be automated by new technologies. This can also be observed in technology-based fields where new technological innovations are continuously introduced and continuously change work routines and activities. The use of surgical robots is one example. However, failures of this technology in its historic development even seem to be the incentive to improve it instead of investigation its impact on the working environment. I completely disagree with the use of the word instead here. Failure in the technology, right? Of course that is, alright, the technology failed, how can we improve the technology? We can also look at the impact of the working environment, but that's a completely separate issue. But a machine that fails is not a cause for investigating the working environment. That seems like not even closely relevant. It is like if we're looking at the impact on the working environment, then we have to be looking at the working machines. Unless they fail all the time. And the frustrating of having machines failing on you all the time. Actually, but it becomes an interesting point though, right? If we change the working environment.
I'm a leaf on the wind.
Right. If we change the working environment by having machines and making all the surgeons being dependent on robots. When there's a power outage and we need to make we need to do an operation, a surgery right now, and there is a power outage. In the future, when people are no longer, like, assuming, right? That's the thought experiment. What if we end up where there are no people that can actually do the surgery with their own two hands? They don't have the dexterity for it or whatnot. Will people just die? That's a social structure thing, I guess. Maybe. Nice. This example reflects a growing number of complex technical systems that underpin the transformation of professional practices, which ultimately influences the whole socio-technical field. The social dimension derived from the possibilities of worker-robot interaction in the industry also becomes a crucial aspect of this framework, where efficiency and control are now, as explained above, elements of the working process. Right, yeah. At the same time, new organizational models create new forms of social division of labor, new technologically based professions, and usually new organizational options for medical devices. However, the medical sector, unlike the industrial production sector, cannot use the progress of technical innovation for the automation of work to a large extent. Can't it though? Why couldn't it? Here, empirical research show that new socio-technical work situations arise, which integrate technology into medical work. Thus, the example shows a technical potential for transformation in a broad range of medical work routines. Nevertheless, the automation process may take place in related fields of medical work, since these dynamics usually... Oh, damn it. I just noticed my face is in the way again, isn't it? Is that better? Whoop. No. No, that's perfect. It just fits. Sorry about that. Right. Since these dynamics usually lead to standardization, laws, and reimbursement rules. Right. What means important issues of workplace transformation on a long temporal scale? The impact of these changes is remarkable in view of the decreasing quality of medical work, which raises the question of the benefits of these transformations. These can also happen in other sectors where non-routine tasks in highly skilled jobs are still not automated, but digitalization processes have already been introduced. I would wish for way more examples in this text, right, where they exemplify what they're trying to say, because a lot of this just sounds like them repeating themselves over and over and over again, and I don't really get what they necessarily get what they mean. These changes, what changes are we talking about, right? They're talking about changes in standardization laws and reimbursement rules, but what are these changes, right? Just saying that there will be changes. And that happens, yeah, there will be changes, but it becomes vague, so the changes are the ones that I imagine, but that the changes I imagine might be something completely different from what the text is implying, right? It gives me a lot of room to interpret it however I see fit, which makes the text a little less useful. Node says, change. Change never changes. I like that that thing where they say, well, the only constant is change. I like that idea. Not as a metaphysical description of reality. It's just a perspective to take on society, that society will keep on changing. And building systems around change rather than trying to stagnate and just build a rigid structure that does not change. Being adaptable is assuming change and working around that. Where was I? The impact of these changes is remarkable, alright, sure. Decreasing quality of medical work. Which raises... Oh! I think I missed that. Decreasing quality of medical work. Is that really happening, though? I remember we saw the expected life life expectancy. This was, mind you, only in America. But it has been on a steady increase for a long time, but it started stagnating. And it leveled out. And even like did a small dip at a few years ago. Well, last year definitely was a big dip, but that was explainable, not from technological stuff. And I'm not even sure, right? I would say that decreasing quality of medical work based... Well, that's what they were trying to do. The framing is technological improvement. But I think that's a very simplified way of looking at it, saying that, oh, alright, we have decreasing quality of medical work because of technological improvements. That can mean like 1,000 different ways. Outlander says, I feel like the human element of medical work is being overlooked. What do you mean when you say the human element? I'm thinking about societal structures, politics and whatnot. There are 1,000 things that goes into this decreasing quality of medical work, if that is indeed the case. Which I am not convinced of. This can also happen in other service sectors where non-routine tasks, highly skilled jobs, is still not automated, but digitalization processes has already been introduced. Oh, right. Maybe what we're talking about here, maybe what they're talking about is quantity over quality. But that because of technological progress, I don't think so. That's consumerism, right? A consumeristic attitude, right? Decreased quality, if we're talking about the human element, right? How much time do you spend with your doctor? How well does your doctor know your life and can like take a qualitative view on your life and on your health? Or are we just narrowing in on a specific situation and they just try to get you through the door as fast as possible? Is that what we're talking about? I would say that that is not necessarily because of technology. It goes hand in hand, I would suppose. Proto Zero says, where do you find yourself politically? Just curious. Oh, nice to meet you, Proto Zero. He continued, like, do you lean left or right, and what kind of issues matter to you? I try not to lean left or right, but I have to concede, right? I more often would lean to the socialist leftist kind. But I don't identify as an ist in any kind. I don't like ideology because there is just a lot of stuff that the people on the left say that I don't agree with, and I agree with, right? So I try to be more single-minded on a specific political issue, if that makes sense, Proto-Zero. The issues that kind of matter the most to me at the moment, right? In my country, I've voted on 3 different parties, and that kind of works for me at the moment as well. I voted for the Pirate Party, and that is about open sourcing just all the stuff. Just give information to everybody and reduce copyright stuff and stuff like that. But I don't see that as urgent as these other 2. The other 2 are direct democracy, where I want to move further away from a representative democracy where we vote on people instead of ideas. Because when we vote on people, it becomes a popularity contest, and I think there are some negative consequences that I want to move away from. So in my mind, that's an increase in democracy, like pulling people into the political spectrum and being part of it, right? Being part of the discussions, being part of the decision making more and more. Like democracy, people rule. I want people to do more than just vote once every 4 years. And I've heard arguments from people saying that the vote doesn't really matter anyway, so... But then, if we go more specific, and the thing that I've been voting on recently, the thing that I care about the most, and I've been talking a lot about in this text, is UBI, Universal Basic Income. I've been completely blinded by that idea. It's like, it looks so great to me. I spent a couple of days looking for arguments against it, but I can't find any ones that can balance out my mind. I know that my bias is all out of whack in regards to Universal Basic Income, so if you have any arguments that you feel are good against Universal Basic Income, that would make me happy, yeah. Right, that was a summary of my political ideas, I guess. Right. Then Eoware Explores. Hello, Eoware Explores. Nice to meet you. As well for you, Proto-Series. They say, how well does your doctor know you? How much time do you spend with your doctor? Sigh. And I'm thinking that maybe that is what they meant with decreasing quality. I don't know. Your explorer says, I'd rather get killed for trying to help people than a party or ist/ism. Yeah. I like that. I'd rather get killed for helping people rather than a group, right? An abstract collection of people. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Right. What did you mean by that sigh, by the way, Era Explorers? I didn't understand your criticism. I'm curious, though. Proto-Zero says, hell yeah, I'm an anarchist myself. I'm super down for direct democracy, open source, and UBI. Oh, lovely. Yeah, I did learn a lot about anarchism. I had, like, that was a hole in my knowledge. We did spend, what was that, like 2 months ago? Spend a lot of time reading about anarchism. And there are things I like from it, and there are things that I don't like from it, indeed. Your Explorer says hello. Oh, I sigh a lot, so don't take it as aimed at you. Sorry. Oh, no, I didn't mean that, right? It is great, right? If you sigh against, like, I was taking it as you sighing about those quotes, right? How well does your doctor know you? How much time do you spend with your doctor? If we find something that makes me happy is if we find a point where we are in a disagreement, political disagreements. I like those because political disagreements are starting out points for discussions. If we're all in agreement about everything, there is not really a discussion and we can't move our ideas forward. I think that the best way to move an idea forward is have someone criticize the idea. That makes sense? So feel free to sigh. Indeed. I'm just asking for an explanation behind the sigh if I don't understand it, if that makes sense. Proto Zero says, I support UBI, but these are my critiques of it. Oh, nice. Thank you. Right, let's see. I'm worried that it, at least here in the US, could be a Trojan horse to eventually repeal other popular social programs and then repeal the UBI. All right. I would say that's not an argument against UBI, that's an argument against the political social structures that can happen. Right? That's an argument against the structure as a whole, not as at UBI as an idea. But I would also say that it's good to have that in mind. Because UBI would be, I've said that a lot before, it would be a big change to society as we know it. Like in any country, it would be a big change. So I would always argue caution and a slow approach to implementation, right? Let's not just flip a switch and tomorrow everybody gets the universal basic income. I don't think that's the best idea because that would be super destabilizing. But rather build a structure like my idea that I had the other day was that we just go from what's that word in English again? It's not called pension, it's called retirement, right? We just start lowering the age of retirement. Like every year we lower it with 1 year or something. Well, you get my point, right? Just a slow iterative approach where we just, the goal is to have everybody have it, but we just take it one step at a time to make sure that stuff doesn't break, because stuff will break when implementing such grand changes. And the second one that Proto Zero said was that it may cause people, that it may make people more consumeristic and accelerate climate change. Yeah, actually, I think we were talking about that argument yesterday as well as a valid argument. Right? If people get more spending power, they will spend it on, increasing climate change perhaps. Which is definitely a possible side effect, right? Again, my response to that is the same as with the previous one, right? A slow approach for implementation to take things slow. That it may cement corporate duopoly. I don't know what duopoly is. So that is, I'm curious about that. Right, and may make people less engaged with politics since class antagonisms will no longer be so apparent. I have the complete opposite argument for that, right? I'm saying that since I want the people to be more and more involved, what I would say that is that it gives the people the opportunity to say to the wherever they are doing their work is to say, I quit. Right? A person would have a stronger incentive, or not incentive, but they would have more economical power to just say, like, if you don't like what the cigarette company's doing with their commercials and just getting children to smoke and people getting lung cancer, just as an example, if that is what you care about, if you don't care about that, that's fine. But if you care about it, then you as a worker can say, well, I have UBI, so I can just quit. I don't want to spend efforts doing this thing. And getting people maybe not more engaged, but possibility of using political power. Alright, Aor Explorer says, spend some time with Bakunin circa 2002 and 2003. I don't know what that is. Is that a recommendation for something to read in the future, maybe? Mikhail Bakunin, is that it? Russian revolutionary? That's interesting. Aor Explorer says, oh, I was saying about the time with the doctor because I'm a veterinary assistant. We're allowed to spend more time with patients, but if you interrogate why, you get hella ghastly dark from there. Wait. Oh, I was signed because about the time with the doctor. Because I am a veterinary assistant, we are allowed to spend more time with patients. But if you interrogate why, it gets hella ghastly dark from there. Why you spend more time with the patients? Veterinaries. Trying to guess what that would mean. That people don't take care of their pets? I don't know. Hero Explorer says the goal is no one ever has to do anything. That's a utopian idea. I think that's very misguided, and I don't see that future ever happening. Right? The elimination of work or jobs, I don't think that's real. I can't even imagine that happening. So no, it's more like it's a goal in a vague sense, right? It's more like an attitude. The attitude is to reduce the amount of jobs that we have and increase the amount of hobbies that we have, for example. But a lot of people enjoy their jobs today. I don't want to take that away from them, and I don't want to take people working to improve society away from them, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't think that would work at all. Hero Explorers continued though, because I literally heard that in grad school in 2011 and said, that's enough, and I dropped out, lol. #1 ranked shitshow grad school? Someone actually had that goal? Not as a vague attitude? Because that... I don't see how that would work at all. Right? No one ever has to do anything? That sounds... well, it actually sounds more dystopian than utopian to me, personally. Right, Proto-Zero says duopoly is like monopoly, but multiple large corporations seizing majority of a given market share. Oh, right. Like, what are they called? Samsung and iPhone, for example. That's kind of a duopoly, but you could add some other in there. But I get your point, yeah. Hero Explorer says, I feel like NSC 68, don't know what that is, United States Objectives and Programs for National Security in April the 14th, 1950 was a transformative moment. I've never heard about that. NSC 68. Right. I'll put it here and maybe look into it, but I want to catch up with chat first. Hero Explorers? Yeah, an anarchist voice. Oh, right. Mikhail Buchanan was an anarchist voice. Actually, I feel... Bukake? No. Bakunin, sorry. Hero Explorers yesterday, the CEO of tobacco conglomerate Phyllis Morris said that cigarettes should not be sold within 10 years. Why? That doesn't sound great. That's actually another political thing that I do care quite a bit about. It's the legalization of all narcotics, all drugs. Yeah, I wouldn't say just, oh, have all the drugs, right? I wouldn't have like heroin down at the supermarket. I would have regulation and taxation and stuff like that. Something on my idea, something along the lines. If you want to go buy heroin, you have to go to a specific dispensary, a specific store, and before you get it, the clerk has to have like a 30-second spiel about the dangers of heroin that you would have to listen to before having the heroin and whatnot. So having cigarettes not being sold, I don't think that's a good idea. Even though I approve of the reduced amount of tobacco used, I don't think it should be up to each individual. Proto-Zero asks, where are you from? Just curious. I'm from Sweden, and I am in Sweden right now. Yeah. The southern part of Sweden. Hero Explorer says, heard in grad school really wanted the other shitshow goal. No one has to do anything goal too. They called it Homo Ludens, the next evolution of our species where people just play basic games and don't have any sort of relationships that last even a week. I mean, if people want to live like that, if someone feels happy and fulfilled by sitting on their ass and playing video games all day, then I wish them well. I just don't, right? I like psychology, right? And from my understanding, that will not lead to contentment or happiness or a fulfilling life. So I don't think most people would end up being like that. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the movie Wall-E, that dystopian, where that's kind of what you're explaining, right? Homo ludens, where people don't do anything and just... From my understanding, we have this need to feel useful. We need to do useful stuff. Yeah. That's why I said hobbies, right? Not rather than video games. I mean, I have that drive to do useful stuff, and I think most people do. I think we have drives to do both, right? Sit on our asses and play video games, and go out and do something, whatever it is, something useful. Our explorers' professors really called for this Homo ludens, people just fuck around and play idea. I mean, I think it's interesting as a thought experiment and like a philosophical idea. And I think it's a worthwhile goal to have, because I think that people, when people just fuck around and play, they will start doing useful things. That's what I believe, but where would all the food come from is another question. Hero Explorer says, so I quit after one semester and regret that one semester. Why didn't you do like criticisms and discussions? What were you studying, Hero Explorers? I'm curious. Hero Explorer says, of course not heroin forced upon people like it was into China. Yeah, no, that sounds terrible. Hero Explorer says, 30-second spiel. Just saying, like, you might get super addicted, you might stop caring about relationships. Actually, I don't know what is bad about heroin. I think there are some health, stuff, right? Every time you go to the clerk and you're there and you want to pay, then they will have like 30 seconds, something like that, where they just have to say, well, you are aware of this and this and this and this and this. These potential problems with heroin, you are aware of them, just to make sure, right? Your Explorer says, don't put that poor person that would be behind the counter. Oh, right, it doesn't even have to be a clerk, right? We can replace them with machines and have a machine, right? There's a 30-second video just playing about the dangers of... Similar to like they do with cigarettes nowadays, right? With the images on the pack. Stuff like that. Protoseer says, Sweden is a social democracy, right? I think so, yeah. Social democracy? You mean socialist? I mean, it's fairly similar to America. We're just leaning way more left. Right? We're leaning way more socialist, but that's changing. Right? Your left is kind of like our middle or middle right. Like, that's your left is our right. But we do have more extreme right and more extreme left, right? We have actual communists. We have multiple different parties. 8 of them? Protosera says, I wish it was the same here in the US. We don't even get healthcare for our tax dollars here. Yeah, that's kind of sad. Well, actually, I've heard some people get that, right? Healthcare. You have weird systems. That is what I hear. Hero Explorer says heroin is more abusive than video games. Usually, but they both have major limits. I do think most people would end up addicted if most people were flooded with opiates. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm not so sure about that. A lot of people get morphine when they, like if they have an operation or if they break their legs or something. they don't end up addicts. But a lot of people would, right? I've heard a lot about these opiates epidemics. Our Explorer says can be useful through video games if you do things through/around them to help each other. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I love video games, so I like using that as an example as a not useful way, because oftentimes, like a lot of the video games that I play, I don't, right? I play solo games and I don't interact with other people and help other people out or improve on, right? Just as similar to drugs, right? Just that dopamine pump. Just, oh yeah, that hit. I need another hit of that dopamine pump. Our Explorer says, I wrote essays, sent them around to friends and professors at many schools. No one ever read and responded. Wish I could... Yeah, that's... There is an abundance of stuff to read nowadays, isn't there? Yeah. Something I enjoyed, right? I made all my arguments in uni. I did that within the actual tasks that I had. And I started streaming. Actually, streaming has been a lot of fun for expressing political ideas and having people respond to it. I mean, you can make video essays. I love watching video essays of X. Yeah. Your Explorer says, I wish I could find people click through EULAs like they have for over 20 years. And EULAs, oh, what does those stand for again? Terms and conditions, yeah. Is not going to do anything about opiate abuse. Oh, right. That's a response to people will not listen to the 30-second spiel. Yeah. Yeah, end user license agreement. There we go. Yeah, and I think I fucking hate those. End user license agreement. I fucking hate them. Well, I like the GPL, I suppose. Yeah, I do like the GPL. But I want them to be short, right? That's why I said 30 seconds. How long does it take to read a EULA? And also, right, I wanted to force that upon people buying heroin. I don't want to force reading the EULA upon someone just using software. Actually, part of me do want to force that upon people, but I don't do it myself, so that would be hypocritical? But that's fine. Actually, it's fine being... Something that I've learned is being a hypocrite is just fine. We're all that. And it's fine. Our Explorer says, the death penalty for opiate users couldn't slow down the spread of opiate addiction in the Opium Wars era. Wow, that's some dark shit. Right, the opium overdose chart versus the timeline of when the US invaded Afghanistan and then started controlling territory in Afghanistan, which then and now constitutes over 90% of the world's opium field's production. Not surprised, yeah. Your Explorer says maybe lab production of synthetic fentanyl such overwhelms it now. Maybe. Your Explorers, it's not fine to be a hypocrite, but maybe start to figure out something? Oh, I think it is, right? Something that I've learned fairly recently is that, right? We have ethical ideas, right? We have ethical ideas, political opinions and whatnot, stuff that we want to see happening in the world. But that's an abstract and intellectual pursuit, right? And then we have our own lives, where we have to be practical, what we do with our own lives. For example, I really don't like Google's EULA, for example. I don't like how Google does things, but here we are. I'm sitting on YouTube. Right? And I don't see... I think that is fine, that I can dislike something ethically and politically.
It's the deep breaths before the plunge.
But I still have to live my life, right? Right. Your Explorer says, yeah, we're talking through Amazon. Exactly. Hello, Notrunner. He says, hi, I get healthcare in the United States. It's pretty good too. I get free doctors, visits, ambulance rides, ER visits, therapy, dentistry, medications, and more. I live in the state of Oregon. Oregon? There we go. And I'm on the Oregon Health Plan. I didn't have to do anything really to sign up either. There's this person at the hospital whose job it is to fill out the paperwork, to help to fill out the paperwork for people. I'm not sure what amount of money you need to make to be eligible, but clearly I fit into that category. And there we go. Exactly. I was thinking about you before, Node Runner, that you have a pretty good deal, right? Hero Explorer says, and I deal with Alphabet's YouTuber. Yeah. Just don't go full on contradiction by Mao, I guess. Yeah, right. And I would encourage people to try to live their ethics. Right? I have a code of ethics, right? I don't like what Google does, and I try to minimize my usage of Google, right? I use DuckDuckGo instead of Google when I search for stuff on the internet. Right? So it is fairly easy to make, and I move in that direction. And when I make changes in my life, when I buy a new computer, I definitely will not buy a computer that comes pre-installed with Windows, because I don't like Windows. If it's either it comes not installed with anything, or it will come pre-installed with Linux. So I make steps in the directions of my ethics, and I would encourage other people to do the same. Have their own code of ethics and take steps towards that. Air Explorer says, what your code? Oh, actually, that actually pointed out that that's not really it. Code of ethics. I don't have it written down or anything. You remember before when I presented my political opinions? It's very much it's just that. Sorry, I asked. No. Ask away. I'm happy you asked. I like thinking about the language that I use, and I've said code of ethics many times, but that's not what I have. I don't have a code of ethics. I have a world view, right? I have ideas about how I think the world works and what makes people happy or content or sad. And I think that generally moving towards a society where people are less sad and more content is something I strive for. So maybe that's why I just say code of ethics, because it's very abstract and it's just, yeah. When I say worldview, it sounds singular, but that's not what it is. It's just an understanding of how the world works. I mean, we all have that. We all look at the world and we make assumptions about how the world works, and then we act accordingly, and we build up political opinions accordingly. Yeah, I think that. Ooh, and I'm all caught up on chat. So, what about this Bakunin then? Russian revolutionary, anarchist, socialist, founder of collectivist anarchism. Oh, right. Some good reading, it seems. Right, and this was something that was United States Objectives and Program for National Security. It was a 66-page top-secret policy paper drafted by some people and presented to President Harry Truman in the 50s. It was one of the most important American policy statements of the Cold War. In the words of some person, it provided a blueprint for the militarization of the Cold War from the 50s to the collapse of the Soviet Union in the beginning of the 90s. Its subsequent amplifications advocate a large expansion in the military budget of the United States, the development of a hydrogen bomb, and increasing military to aid the allies of the United States. It made the rollback of global communist expansion a high priority. That's so sad. I mean, the communists are kind of sad themselves, but just fighting people. That is something that I find a lot in politics, and it always bothers me when I notice that, when the focus in just fighting someone else. Right? I read the Communist Manifesto. That was the last thing I read, or the thing before that, and that I felt so disappointed in the Communist Manifesto, but because it's only about fighting the bourgeoisie. That's what it is. They don't just fight the rich. That's pretty much the Communist Manifesto in a nutshell. And I don't get very impressed when you just want to tear stuff down. I want to see people improve and build stuff up. And I want to see improvements to society, not tearing stuff down. I think it's a mistake tearing stuff down instead of improving stuff that really exists. Error Explorer says, sounds like computers like the one I'm using are now longer illegal to be shipped to a lot of states. Wait. Computers are now not longer legal? Got my sound back? What do you mean by that? The computers you use are no longer legal? Is that what you're saying? How does that happen? How does a computer become illegal? Alright, rejected the alternative policies of friendly detente and containment of the Soviet Union. Alright. We can keep on reading, yeah. Where was we? The impact of these changes is remarkable in view of the decreasing quality of medical work. Alright, that thing we went on a ride with this. A lot of different places. Alright. This can also happen in other sectors where non-routine tasks in highly skilled jobs are still not automated, but with digitalization processes have already been introduced. Alright, now we did answer that, right? Quantity over quality. Which I'm fine with. Actually, I would say I'm kinda for that. Quantity over quality. Like, I like mass production. Production for the masses. I want everybody to have a smartphone. I want everybody to have access to a computer. Just not too fast, so we wreck the environment more than we already have. But that would be the long-term goal. Everybody having access to stuff. I like that. Eeyore Explorers. Am I pronouncing that correctly, by the way? Eeyore Explorers? Or is it EOR Explorers? New law against gaming or other consumer computers that have the capacity to use too much electricity. Well, that's interesting. That is interesting. I'm very ambivalent is the word, right? When you're for and against something. I'm for and against that kind of law regulation of how much power they can use. Short-sightedly, I'm all for it. Short-sightedly, yeah, stop burning coal. If that is indeed the consequence, less burning of coal, which I'm not convinced that is the actual consequence. So maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. But in the long term, definitely not. My mind goes to that, like, in regards to plenty of things. The point is not to regulate or tell people how to live their lives, right? A less powerful computer, that's not what I want to see as a goal for society, more long-term looking. I want society to end dependent on what people want to do. right? We are a wasteful species, right? That's what we do. We create a lot of waste. And yeah, we waste all the things. I would prefer we build our structures around being wasteful and adapt to that rather than trying to manipulate people to be less wasteful. There's a lot of problems happening with that waste, so short term I want to deal with those problems, yes. But long term, I want to be able to just take this trash that I have right here and just... There, I just tossed it. We are like that. I want to be able to live like that. Just have a machine come pick it up and clean it for me. Long-term goal. I probably won't have that in my lifetime, but politically speaking, that is the goal that I would have for humanity, yeah. Hero Explorer says, yeah, you got it right the first way. Nice. So it is a reference to Winnie the Pooh then. Hero Explorer says, wasteful. Yeah, and it just lands like long-term goal. Sounds good to me. In the meantime, maybe we should. Exactly. Maybe we should do regulate to minimize coal burning, for example. There are some stuff that has started happening that has to be... Right, we have global issues that needs to be dealt with globally, and maybe having regulations on companies, what type of stuff they are allowed to sell to stop some of these wastes. Like plastic as well. Plastic is becoming a problem, right? So I'm all for mass production with caveats. Eeyore Explorer says, oh yes, Eeyore. Second, but first, Balthazar from AU Hazard Balthazar? Oh, I don't even know what that is. Curious. Let's check it out since we have... French pronunciation, meaning Balthazar at random. Also known as Balthazar, is a 1966 French drama film directed by Robert Bresson. Bresson? Oh man, I'm not good at French. Believed to be inspired by a passage from Dostoevsky's novel The Idiot. Oh, I started reading on stream, not The Idiot, but Crime and Punishment. Oh man, I couldn't get through it though. I got through like 10-11% of it, but then I just gave up on it. It was too long, too much to read. I got bored doing it on stream. I need shorter stuff. Like this essay is just the right amount of length before I get bored. I'm already a little bit bored of this. Yeah. Right, the film follows a donkey as he is giving to various owners, most of whom treat him callously. Noted for Bresson's ascetic directional style and regarded as a work of profound emotional effect, it is frequently listed as one of the greatest films of all time. I'm definitely gonna watch this film. Right, thanks for the tip. I'm assuming it's a tip. Well, is it a book? No, you were talking about Crime and Punishment, or The Idiot. Yeah, long books. Too long. Right, I'm definitely gonna watch this film someday. Well, thanks for that tip. We're gonna put it on the list, that is. So don't show up tomorrow or in a week expecting me seeing the movie. I might have, but it's more like within the next year, maybe I'll see it, when I'm in the mood for that kind of thing. Alright. Regardless of the sector and the industry, the question remains how automation can be managed to develop future models of work. This also seems to be a relevant question for social scientists and not only for engineers or managers. I don't think this is a question for engineers. I think it's a question for managers. And I think it's a question for social scientists. I think it's interesting to try and look ahead, right? That's what they're trying to do, right? What will the future hold? I find that interesting. Speculations about the future and doing science and trying to make good predictions of what will happen in the future. I think those are worthwhile efforts, definitely. From social scientists' point of view. Right. Universal basic income. I mean, it's maybe doable today, but it's more of an approach for the future based on, hopefully, like social science. Engineers, they only try to do the best, create the best thing that they're trying to do, right? I don't think they should be beholden to how the thing is used. I think engineers should just try and do the best machine that they can. Then it's up for the users to... Of course, the designers and whatnot care about how it is used, but I don't think they should try, like, have social aspects in mind when they make the machine. Managers, however, have to adapt, right? That's what happens. Managers just have to adapt to the new technology. And it's not a question for them. It might be a good idea for them to read the social scientists to help them adapt better than they are doing today. Here Explorers says, just realized you have background music. Oh, is it so low that it's barely... I can increase the volume if you like. It is not low? Oh, you just realized it. Right. Here Explorers says engineers are as diverse as the rest of the universe, but in rarer scale. How do you mean? Of course they are diverse. I'm just saying that, like, when an engineer creates a piece of software or whatever, I don't think that their political opinions... I mean, of course, their biases and whatever will go into whatever work they do, but... Let's say an example. Let's say I build OBS. I have OBS right over there, right? OBS is right over there. And someone using OBS can say, well, this piece of software can be used to spread politics that I don't like, which it can be. I don't think that they should keep that in mind and try to censorship their software. That doesn't make sense to me. That they should be part of this thing. AR Explorer says, yeah, it's not really complicated. Well, what is not complicated? Most things are kind of complicated. The further you dig deep into something, the more complicated stuff becomes. But everything I've ever tried to learn more about and dug deeper into has been fucking complicated. There is nothing easy in this world, I don't think. Here Explorers says, whoever makes OBS can try and sneak in whatever censorship they want, and the punishment would probably be either promotions or a hiccup. Nice. I mean, they can, sure. Whatever they want to do, sure, if they want to, but I'm responding to this. A relevant question. In my mind, it is not. But if the engineers want to sneak in and do that, that is fine. That's why open source is so great, because what will happen then, what actually did happen, right? That happened with Audacity recently. That's another audio program that I don't use, but they started sneaking in data collection. And what happened? It got forked. Yeah. People forked it. I love open source. People were pissed as fuck and there was a lot of drama going around. But the end result is a fork without that stuff. Because it's not relevant for, well, I don't know. It's the user that matters, I suppose. Noteowner says, there's an open source Android app called Tusky. It's a Mastodon client. Oh, I really need to get into Mastodon. I haven't been in the mood, or... No, mood is not the right word. No, mood. Yeah, I haven't had any motivation to go into that because social media is not really a big thing for me, but I am curious about Mastodon. Also, I like the Tusky thing. It feels very... the musicians Mastodon. Iron Tusk. Great song. Iron Tusk, I can recommend it. If you like metal, I can recommend Iron Tusk. It's a cool riff. Guitar riff. Noderunner continued. The developers took it upon themselves to censor the Gab server because they didn't like their politics. Well, don't want to use an app to do censorship, I guess. I found a paper on the subject, says Noderunner. Alright. PDF. Hard-coded censorship in open source Mastodon clients. How free is open source? 13 pages? Oh. Is this the next text? After I've finished with this one? I think this is the next text. That sounds interesting. Hard-coded... I'm assuming that it goes... yeah, political with it. It's not only specifically about this, but it discusses the thing at a grander scale. Long paper. It's just 13 pages. It's not that bad. I think this is the next text. Thanks for the tip, Noderunner. We'll try it out. Right. Aero Explorers ask, what does Tusky do? What is Gab and what did it do? It's decentralized open source social media, right? Like Twitter. Open source Twitter. Exactly. But you can... It's also decentralized, if I understand it correctly. Right, you can... The user, right? The user of Mastodon can censorship whatever the fuck they want. And that's why the app creators of Tusky did that, right? They decided to censorship a lot of stuff. And Gab is right-wing politics, right? I think. Noderunner says, I haven't read this paper, I just found it. If you're interested, then just hang on and I'll read it. I think, let's see, the Gab. Wait, do I have to log in? Can't I just... Ah, here we go. Ignore Biden's mandates. Tucker Carlson going off the... Yeah, it's American right-wing politics, right? I think that's it. My son's last phone call from me from the Fallujah was, I don't think I'm going to make it. Alright, someone died from... This the pandemic. Alright. It kind of seems anti-vaxxers. That's not right-wing, that's just... yeah. People thinking about stuff. Air Explorers asks, anyone else here know the horror of the Yarotexidera, the Faria cult in Brazil? My pronunciation is the best. I've never heard of that, so let's check it out. What is that? Also known as Joe the Dew. John of God is a Brazilian purported Muslim psychic surgeon. Oh man. I started feeling gross saying those two words next to each other. Psychic surgeon, oh man, oh, gross. And convicted sex offender, of course he was. It's a cult, right? He ran Casa de Dom, alright. Spiritual Healing Center, oh man, I'm feeling a bit nauseous from this, yeah. Has received media coverage on CNN. Alright. Oprah Winfrey. Oh! Wait, people liked what he did? James Randi and Joe Nickel have exposed his healing procedures as involving nothing more than carnival tricks? Yeah, of course. And there is no evidence that the benefits that have been reported by patients are anything more than the placebo effects. Yeah, placebo effects are not to be scoffed at. But... right, here we go. Over 600 accusations of sexual abuse. He turned himself into the police. Was that a Me Too thing? Consequence of Me Too, these accusations arose? 2019 was sentenced to 19 years and 4 months for the rapes of 4 different women. He was sentenced to additional 40 years against more rape. Alright. Third conviction accused, 63 years and 4 months. Yeah, he was a cult leader. Typical cult leader. Gross. Not says I haven't read the paper. Alright, yeah, just found it. We can read that. I've never used Gab, but I understand it's some kind of right-wing Twitter kind of thing. Yeah. Your Explorer says medium psychic surgeon, not Muslim psychic surgeon. Sorry. Was that me misreading or someone miswriting? Oh, sorry, it's gone. My apologies if that was me. Was all this right-wing stuff, right? A lot of people not liking Muslim for reasons. But yeah, medium psychic surgeon makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Air Explorer says, I know what you meant. Thanks. Yeah. Air Explorer says, wow, the Oprah Winfrey show promoted is allowed on Wikipedia. Promotion? Wait, was that Oprah Winfrey promotion? I don't think that was it. Placebo effects are not to be scoffed at, indeed. Air Explorer says there were people who testified that he had moms that were kept for a decade selling their kids for 20 to 60k to people in Australia, New Zealand, and Europe, and US, Canada. Oh, to the British Empire then, eh? Yeah. All of the British Empire. People usually disagree with me when I call all those places the British Empire. I think it's fun, though. Right. Where were we? Regardless of the sector of the industry, the question remains on how automation can be managed. I don't know about that. Alright, yeah, we were talking about that. What time is it? Do I have time to finish this today? So there will be no video today. I'm sorry, Node Runner, but we'll start with the video tomorrow. Instead of reading, we can take a pause, even though I'm not finishing this. Oh, I misunderstood before Air Explorer. He says John of God, aka James of God. Yeah, he was promoted by Oprah. There we go. Something else that we've talked about that I really like about language is an approach that I'm trying to practice is assuming that misunderstandings will happen. Because they do all the time, and having that in mind is trying to be more clear and trying to highlight misunderstandings, I think is a great way to do communication, I hope. Your Explorer says, I want to bring goodness, but they do... Wait. I didn't understand that bit at all. It feels like it cut off mid-sentence. I do that all the time, so here we go. Your Explorer says, I don't know about highlighting them. Why not? Well, having in mind that, well, maybe not highlighting, but looking for them. Yeah. Looking for misunderstanding. Maybe that's better. Here Explorers continues. The problem is that we have little to do with the currents of language change. Said was good. Oh, alright, right. Well, you have control of your own language. Like, I have control of my... Well, I have a little bit of control of my own language, if that makes sense. I've noticed how difficult that is, trying to change language patterns that are put into you, right? That you've been getting used to. Right, I started rejecting the idea of speaking of right and wrong, or is in ethical discussions or political opinions and whatnot, and that is difficult. It's also, for me, it is fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy introspecting? No, looking at my own language and trying to change it to be an improved version. My language patterns. Here Explorer says, yeah, I have a little control too. I enjoy that. You enjoy doing the language thing as well? Right, building on a fruitful debate sparked by Frey and Osborne, interdisciplinary knowledge about human-machine interaction is required. Yeah, based on approaches from science, technology, and society studies. STS? Ooh, that's unfortunate. Just put a D in there and... Right, the only thing is missing in here is the D, and then you're having a bad time. Right. Case study research, workplace observation, etc. Furthermore, we argued that the inclusion of employees' needs at the level of technology design is also required to bridge the gap between work and technologies. I reject this. I reject this idea. Yep. I think if people, like, this is a design question. This is, we're talking about not designing of technology, we're talking about designing of a user interface. And having this as a need, as an opinion, I reject that. Yeah, because that is, since I'm a Linux nerd and I enjoy using my Linux machines, I really like to be in control of my user interface. I like to design them well, not design them myself, but I want to pick and choose how my user interface works. I want to be a lot in control. And I don't like that some designer should design that this is how you interact with my machine. No, I want you to, if you design software, hardware, whatever, when you design a thing, you design it to do the thing that it's supposed to do and do that well. And then the UI, we can do that separately. How to interface with the thing. And this also, that's only for me personally. There is also the question of, right? Politics coming in with their grubby fingers and deciding on how technology should work. And it's just, it's a tool. We're creating a tool for people. So taking a top-down view how a tool should work when I prefer the bottom-up view, right? Where the users are the center, right? The users are gonna use this thing. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Deep breaths. Employees' needs. Maybe that's what they're talking about. It's about people. Maybe I don't need to reject it. It's just... It kind of seemed like a top-down thing. Maybe that's not it. Maybe it is a bottom-up thing. What? SDS? Oh, I meant STDs. 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 Sexual transmitted diseases. But we have also in 2021, what is the SDS safety data sheet for the SDS, Students for a Democracy Society? Oh wow, Students for a Democratic Society? That sounds great. Safety data sheet, I don't know what that is. Interesting. Node owner gives us a random distraction. Oh, I like those random distractions. What is this? Alright, I made a printer that prints RGB using chips on belts because why not? Wait. Oh, wait. Is this gonna be... Oh man. Oh, full screen. Gotta see this. Oh, here we go. This is glorious. Oh, look at it. It's beautiful. Oh man. I love this shit. Oh man. So satisfying. And it even stops. Just paints all of them and stops. Oh, that was glorious. Wait, what else do? You do something else. You do something more. Clearly I can't play video, but what's next? That's Elvis, isn't it? Alright. What's the link for this stuff? Alright, you saw the link. If you're a Redditor, am I? I am. Go in here. Oh. Go and press a like on this thing. Oh no, we got rickrolled, didn't we? This is amazing also, fuck you. I've seen some stuff, similar stuff before, but this... Right, I've seen people playing videos and whatnot in... But they were just using lights, I'm pretty sure. Using lights to play videos. I remember seeing the video when they made a smartphone in Minecraft. Lovely. Right, Python scripts. He did it through Python. That makes sense, yeah. Oh man. Might want to mute it. Oh, it was muted from the start. Oh, it was rickrolling. Nice. Here Explorer says, I don't see the printer, hardware, or all the people that did this, unemployed or not. Who knows? They did benefit to society by doing it though. It brightened my day like this much. Can I fit in the camera? It brightened my day this much. That was great. Amazing. Notice says it's like the subpixels on an LCD display. Indeed, yeah. RBGs. Ear Explorer says some of the subpixels. Oh. Elvis? What Elvis is this? Wasn't that Elvis, the king? Ear Explorer says, have a good life, all. Don't die in a field like Balthazar, hopefully. Yeah, we're all gonna die one day. Oh, is that where the Crown of Thorns things comes from? I thought that was a religious thing. You got crowned, but with thorns. Yeah. I hope I don't die a violent death. Well, if I die a violent death, I hope it's a quick death. Like a well-aimed shot to the head and it's just over. Hopefully I'm just unaware of it and it just happens. Right, I'm just sitting here in front of my computer and there's a sniper way out there and just shoots me and I'm dead before I even notice. That's not a bad death. Your Explorer says, no, that comes from Yeshua of Nazareth. Oh, that's what I thought, yeah. Balthazar was one of the 3 kings that brought gifts to baby Jesus. Oh, right. Right. Furthermore, we argue that the inclusion of employees' needs... Alright, required to bridge the gap between working technologies. Different technical options should be fully analyzed and assessed. Oh, one more thing. One more argument against this that I have is that designing lowers the skill level required. Well, that's actually a good thing. Damn it. I was gonna argue that increasing the knowledge of the population and understanding of how technology works is a good thing, but no, it just feels flat. It falls flat because why should everybody know how technology works? That's dumb. That's trying to have everybody doing the same things. If you're not interested in technology, then having an easy interface makes a lot of sense. Intuitive, easy interface where you can just, where the machine, you just have to press the on button and then the machine does the thing for you. Yeah, so that argument's, I don't like it. Here Explore says society is a technology. Well, this paper is not looking at society as a technology. It's looking at technology framing society, right? All the societal structures are framed by technology rather than being technology. So technology is part of society, not the other way around. Here Explorer says, I don't like that whole part. Yeah. Yeah, technology is about people. That Node Runner taught me that the other day. Well, yeah. Technology is about people and society is about people. So I guess, well, I would say technology is part of society rather than is a technology, because society is just about people. You can have society, well, no, yeah, you can have society without technology, but you cannot have technology without society? Right. Social structures are part of technology. How to make machines and use machines, for example. Hero Explorer says, well, many papers I wrote that I could never get anyone to read were better than this. You can probably get me to read one of those papers. Your favorite ones. And yeah, this paper has a lot of problems. There's been a lot of stuff where I'm like, this was just a random paper I found online. Yeah. Right. Different technical options should be fully analyzed and assessed once the social impact within organizations might be very important. Wait, what are you talking about? Technical options should be fully analyzed and assessed once the social impact within an organization might be very important. Oh, okay. With such a debate on technological options, labor movements as well as labor unions will be limited to accompany and to accept socio-technical transformations by the established organizational settings. They're just calling for regulation, right? I don't know how I feel about that. Not in regards to work. But in my mind, I want to eliminate as many jobs as possible, right? That's my political view. So why not just adapt to the technology, right? Use all these studies that they're calling for and use that to adapt to the technological advancement. Don't try to use the studies to hold technological advancements back. Even though I get there are other arguments to hold technological advancements back, but I don't see the impact on work being one of them. Don't see how. Hero Explorer says, I wish I could get it back. Oh, the essays are gone? I mean, if you enjoy writing essays like that, you could reiterate, right? You remember the ideas. You can write them as a script and make a YouTube video. I don't know. Actually, YouTube videos is boring as fuck making. Well, I think that anyway. Right, Eric Explorer says different technological options should be fully analyzed. Yeah, you were right to freeze there. That would be 1 to X number of years study period in the space of Hegemon Berry. Wait, what is Hegemon Berry? I don't know what that is. Need to open that up. I mean, you can keep study, right? It's about understanding the future. Or a berry on a Hegemon? No, this is not. Oh, not a Hegemon? Actually, I don't even know what this means. I know what a berry is. Tasty stuff. What is Hegemon? Something such as a political state having a dominant influence or authority over others. One possessing hegemony. You just made it up? Nice, good job. Oh, hell no, I wrote that maybe over 10 years ago. Would love to make educational videos. Nice. Right, hegemon. These were the periods in England, and then America filled the role of hegemon. Alright. The American self-image of a mighty power is also a benign hegemon. The global custodian of democratic values and human rights is deeply rooted. I don't know about that. Democratic values in America? Is that really what you're doing? I'm not so sure about that. What is bivouac? What's that? I didn't see this. Did I say that? Or... usually a temporary encampment under little or no shelter.
Bivouac.
Bivouac. Encampment usually for a night. So a short camping, alright. Temporary or casual shelter or lodging. Nice. Never heard that word before. Have I ever... I have slept in that though. I've been in a bivouac. Yeah. Went out backpacking. Slept under the stars and whatnot. Just a little shelter. Like a sleeping bag. Good times. I did that in New Zealand. Yeah. New Zealand, sleeping under the stars. Oh, that was glorious. It was such a big difference from Sweden. Right? Just looking up at the stars at night. Such a big difference. Alright. Where are we at? Oh, almost lunchtime. Right. The participative strategies should include different learning processes, competence building, and decentralized decision making to provide ways to reduce the potential for job replacement with automated systems. What are they talking about here? Please don't do this to me. The participative strategies should include different learning processes, competence building, and decentralized decision making to provide ways to reduce... Wait, what are we trying to do here? Reduce the potential for job replacement with automated systems. I have the exact opposite opinion of this, right? I want to replace all the jobs. Because jobs are fucking boring. Who wants to make these jobs, right? Who wants to clean the toilet? I don't. Do you want to clean the toilet? No, you don't. So, replace the job of the toilet cleaner. That's a good thing for society. Oh, man. Something I did, I made a... linguistic? I did a word count. No? Corpus. From the Swedish government. Here Explorer says, I want to clean the toilet. Okay, I clean toilets. I get paid for it. I do much more, but... Nodonor says, I love cleaning toilets. You are liars, both of you. You're liars. Thank you. And I suppose... Right, what if I take your money away? Would you still clean toilets? I have a well, actually, it's not a dirty toilet. But you can come clean my toilet for free. Hero Explorer says put me on voice chat. Not today. Maybe another day? I can put you on voice chat another day if you like. We can talk about stuff. The reason people like cleaning toilets is because they get paid for it. If they didn't get paid for it, you wouldn't just go around cleaning toilets all day. Right, in such disruptive environments, labor markets, changes, skills, shortages, technology development, efficiency can be derived from participatory organizations rather than from traditionally managed systems that would intensify the trends of precarization and the skilling of human work. I don't know what that means. Let's see. I'd snake your toilet. Wait, snake? How do you snake a toilet? I've never heard about that before. Snaking a toilet? No, don't. Sometimes when I finish cleaning my toilet, I go to my neighbor's toilet and ask to clean it as well. You're a liar! You're lying! Damn it. Pay me a profitable sum to go there or back? No, I won't pay, like... You enjoy cleaning the toilet. I'm doing you a favor, letting you to clean my toilet. Snaking a toilet? I've never heard of snaking a toilet. Exactly, yeah, I've never heard about that. Snaking? Is that a thing? Oh, it is literally what it sounds like. You're putting a snake in the toilet? Is that a thing? 12 steps with pictures? Oh, man. Oh! Oh, that's snaking a toilet. Oh, right. That actually makes a lot of sense. Oh, right. Oh. That's actually a good meta. Like, snaking makes a lot of sense. He's literally searching for snaking a toilet and asking if it's literally a snake. I mean, look at this. When I searched for it, what ended up? We saw snakes. I mean, that's one interpretation of snaking a toilet would be putting a snake in someone's toilet. Getting someone to beat them in the ass. Right, that would be a way to snake a toilet. Nodon says, yeah, you literally put a snake in the toilet, they go down and live happily forever. Oh, I was thinking of it as an assault, right? Just... like a poisonous snake or not, right? Just wanting someone to have the worst day in their life. Sitting down on the toilet and getting bit by a snake in the ass or the balls. Getting bit by the balls. Oh, nightmare-inducing stuff. Maybe, maybe not. You'll notice I tend to take stuff kind of literally. Yeah, I do that from time to time. It happens. It's just how I work. Right. Precarization. I'm curious about that. That precarious? Precarity. It's a precarious existence. Right. That's a word I've heard many times, but I don't have a great idea understanding. Dangerously lacking in security or stability. Precarious. Subject to change or unknown conditions. Based on uncertainty, unwarranted or unproven premises. Managed system that would be intensify the trends of precarization. They have not given any sources that is what is happening. Dangerously lacking in security or... But unknown conditions, I suppose, yeah, that we don't know what will happen, but just because something is unknown doesn't make it bad. But it kind of seems like precarious is kind of implying that it's bad. Like these changes, that they are bad. They haven't given any good ideas for that. Oh, I'm so close. Yeah, I'm so close. So we're finishing this today. Yeah, finishing this indeed today. No, says, you've been bit on the balls by a poisonous snake. I'm afraid we have to amputate. Oh, man, that's the worst day. The worst day. Oof. Here, Explorer says, I could probably try to get contact info for people 10 or more times richer and offering them to give them a plumbing care and get nice sums. Good point, yeah, good point. Good point. Here, Explorer says, precarious is a word I have not felt precarious about knowing about since maybe 20 years, but precarization is just wrong. Wait, why is it wrong? Precarization? This ruler weaver is not worth giving any more to. Ruler weaver? Man, so much language that I don't get. Feels like slang? No, metaphor? Do you mean the author of this text? It's speculation, right? It's conclusions. They just have different opinions. It's fine for people to have different opinions. I don't agree with their... Like, a few of their opinions I agree with, but their conclusions and opinions, I don't. Your Explorer says you're right. Oh, about the opinions thing? Keep reading, alright. Such conclusions also mean that the design of HRI, human... What was that? R information? Damn it. Should be human-centered, which means participative and integrative regarding the needs of the workers. I half agree that, right? Think about the users, but more think about the... right? Technology creates products, right? And not only care about the people creating the products, it's more focused on the people using the end result, right? Not understands. It is fine for other people to have the wrong opinion. There is no such thing. There is no wrong opinion. It's not... You can't get there. Logically. Philosophically, it's... You can't argue it. You get stuck. You get stuck, and you know where you get stuck. You get stuck in Hume's guillotine. And then you don't get there. Your Explorer says, I got caught up trying to fight for myself when I should go to sleep. Alright, if you should go to sleep, then go to sleep. It was nice meeting you, and thanks for hanging out. I had a good time. Now says, let's agree to disagree. We've talked about Hume's guillotine like multiple times. I don't remember you giving any good arguments against Hume's guillotine. Sure, we can agree to disagree if you want to. Right. Technocratic visions still understand such a human place in technical systems as instrumental to organizational efficiency, but real humanistic or anthropocentric visions would understand it as important steps towards an improvement of the working life. But the best way to improve the working life is to just reduce the amount of work you have to do. You can improve... Let's say we have two choices here. You work 1 hour a day doing one specific task. We can increase that to 2 hours a day where you enjoy it more, it becomes more enjoyable, or we can make it a little less enjoyable and reduce it to half an hour. let's say, making the dishes. Right? Yeah, we can have a dishwasher, which is a little bit more boring, but it's way faster. Which one would you prefer? My assumption is that you would prefer doing the faster before the more enjoyable one. Not always, but that would be the trend. Right? We make a statistical analysis of all the tasks one can do. The trend would be that you would go for the faster one. Right? I think so. These are principles that are most relevant in production environments and that have been neglected in the last 2 decades. But it's also a false dichotomy, right? You don't have to go one way or the other. You can do both, right? You can make the dishwasher, right? You can go down to the 30-minute with the dishwasher, but you can increase it to like 32 minutes and make it more enjoyable. And good for your back and whatnot. Right, the development of work skills, distributed decision-making, and task enrichment systems should integrate new technological developments to improve the quality of work and standards in automated environments. Alright, the phone is ringing. I'm just gonna answer this. Goddag.
Nej, stör jag? Streamar du fortfarande?
Jag streamar så du är live.
Okej.
Så du hörs bara så du vet.
Ja, okej. Men jag skulle bara kolla om vi ska komma upp sen. Jag skickar lite foton till dig och frågar om det är saker som ska tas med.
Ja, gör gärna det.
Ja.
Yes.
Hej.
Hey. I have guests. My parents are coming over with some stuff for me. It's very nice. Nodrunner says, in Satisfactory, there's a machine that you can feed extra resources to, and it will give you a currency to purchase special bonus cosmetic items. I want that in Factorio. I think it's a cool idea. I like that in Factorio as well. One thing though that has never happened to me, well, it has happened to me one time in Factorio, is where I went and had extra resources. Yeah, that has not happened to me a lot in Factorio. The other way around has been the truth in Factorio for me more. Yeah. But I agree, it's a cool idea. It's even further endgamey stuff. Or, no, it's a cool idea because it's a different structure where you play and focus on another thing, right? You focus on just mass producing for purchasing the cosmetic items. I like that. Right. Particularly challenging in this debate is that the service sectors that formerly compensated for the job losses in the manufacturing industry are now also subject to automation processes. Yeah, they live in the same untrue, like their worldview don't mesh with mine. Their worldview is that more jobs is better, and I just don't think so. Moreover, the erosion of the welfare state in many industrialized countries might weaken the potential for adequate policy responses to the challenges of automation. It seems that both the modern concept of labor and the modern concept of technology must be questioned here. Obviously, this cannot be done in our article, but it is our intention to raise awareness of the impacts of technologies in working environments on a larger scale. These impacts are manifold and vary within industries and professions. A lot of social research is necessary to create knowledge about transformation processes at micro, meso, and macro levels. However, technologies always do reflect economic interests, political power relations, and cultural values in changing socio-technical environments. This is particularly the case when the normative power of technologies is also used as a metaphor for economic efficiency and economic growth in work processes. Wait, man, I'm moving fast. Node says, I think in every factory there's a bottleneck somewhere. What if instead of fixing the bottleneck, which is really just moving the bottleneck somewhere else, you take the extra materials to route them to exchange? I don't know. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing, right? So there's a bottleneck somewhere, and then you fix, like, when you go around, like, isn't that kind of the gameplay of Factorio? You go around and just fixing bottlenecks after bottlenecks after bottlenecks, and when you've fixed a few bottlenecks, then suddenly the other bottleneck that you had, all right, right, let's say that you produce too much green circuits. So it's a, wait. Moving the boss, you take the extra materials and route them to exchange. Oh, I was thinking completely opposite. All right, instead of growing the factory, right? If you don't have enough red circuits and too many green circuits, your idea is to use the green circuits for something else instead of increasing, like, the plastic if you're missing plastic for red circuits. I'm not sure that would work in Factorio. I mean, it would work, I guess, but you always need more red circuits. I mean, you always need more of everything. That's kind of the point of the game. You always need more. Hold on, like, let's say you're making fast inserters and normal inserters as a crafting ingredient, but you're producing more normal inserters that you need. Oh, right. But then, if you start taking the normal inserters, then you will need to have more iron, right? You will run out of iron. That is usually what ends up happening, right? Then that iron that you needed somewhere else, you're using those to create normal inserters instead of wherever you actually need them. You need them for steel, for example. And that's why it's better to overproduce and put them in a buffer and then just stop the production, because the iron is used for something else. Right? Maybe? Nodonor says the way to solve that would be to make more assemblers to create more fast inserters, but you could just as well sell the extras. It would also act as a way to delete items, like if there's a byproduct you don't want. Actually, yeah. I like the idea overall.
It's down there somewhere. Let me take another look.
And the way I would use it and see it, it would be a, like you said, a delete item thing, and also an end game thing. But after you have achieved your other goals, you could do that, which is great, right? Because increasing, like, the value of the things would probably be the more resources, and the more you have fiddled with the raw resources, the higher the value, right? So it would be better to increase production. There's probably a way to balance this up. What are we doing here? All right. Where was I? This is particularly the case when normative power of technologies is also used as a metaphor for economic efficiency, economic growth in work processes. From this perspective, reflecting on technologies always implies reflecting on the quality of work, as well as the question of how and with what expectations human work will be organized in future societies. Actually, that last point I would have to concede and agree, right? That not reflecting on these things, not instead of technological progress, but in tandem with. It makes sense, right? Since people in our society spend a lot of time in their jobs, right? People spend a lot of time. It makes sense to evaluate. How does it make you feel? Right. Does your day suck? Do you live in a dangerous environment? Is your work dangerous? And making changes based on those know-how things, I guess, yeah. Nodonor says, the iron wouldn't be worth as much as the inserters. Exactly, so it would be better to sell the inserters than the iron. My point is that the iron, right, when you create the normal inserters and selling them, then you need iron to create steel for solar panels. Right? You need all those solar panels, but you run out of iron because you're selling the inserters. And if you get a surplus of solar panel, those would be worth more than the inserters. But from that kind of thinking, then selling the inserters wouldn't really. That is a question of motivation, though. And the way I work, right? I don't get motivated by cosmetics. Right? If you want to build a park, and that is your motivation, then of course it would make sense to do that. And it would be... yeah, it would be a different type of... you could go different directions. Like, now you can play the game two different... like the vanilla game. You can play and focus on science and building defenses, right? Or you can just focus on building the factory, right? You can do... like, there's a balancing thing. You can balance on how to play that thing. But you could also focus on building a pretty place. Right? Building parks and art and cosmetics and whatnot. That could be a different way to play the game. And that, I would agree, that is probably something very nice to add to Factorio. Nodonor says, it's just like how research works already, actually, except instead of researching technology, you're selling items. Oh. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? You can... that's where my mind went as well. Yeah, with... similar to the researching, it's just where you put your focus. You research military, or do you research just building up the factory? I usually play without the biters completely. You play on peaceful mode, so you don't have to focus on the military. You just have to get the military that you need. While others play the game just hyper-focused on military and buying the base, right? And building the defenses and making an impenetrable base. And that's a valid approach to playing the game as well. It's just playing the game and just making it pretty. That would be like another focus. Nodonor says, it's not pure cosmetics in Satisfactory, actually. There's a little car you can buy and certain items you can buy. Yeah, you could have stuff like that in... but all, like, a little car is already included in the current stuff, I guess. Like we were talking the other day, right? You can have many different focuses. We were talking about diplomacy yesterday, And today we're talking about, I mean, the focus of such a system could be to make it pretty rather than functional. We don't have the equivalency. Like in Minecraft, you just take the blocks and you can do art. In Factorio, you can sure make art like the one you showed me before, but you could have more, right? Just more sprites, building parks, building this and that. Home making, we call it that. All right. Oh, final thoughts on this. All right. The essay was not very well written. I disagreed with a lot of the conclusions. It was interesting though. It wasn't really... it was most deeper well, it presented stuff that was relevant to stuff that I care a lot about, right? I care about automation. And just presenting the current scientific views on automation from this kind of perspective was interesting. The thing that I got most from it is I want to see from that article, that main reference, that called again? Not Fisher, but it was F something, right? Yeah, Frey and Osborne, right? The future of employment. I would want to see this tool that these types of scientists are trying to build. They're trying different ways of looking at jobs and working tasks and evaluating them from a social, psychological standpoint. Building a tool like that, a data set like that, is very interesting, and they brought me those ideas about pointless jobs and how to evaluate them. That is something I found interesting. Nodona says, I'm feeling suddenly tired. I think I'm going to go lay down. Right, have a nice sleep or rest, and yeah, just have a good one and see you next time. Yeah. I'm off as well. So thanks for hanging out and cheers.